Okay, I have resumed recording. So yeah, uh, hi everyone, and welcome to today's Optimized Academy Masterclass. Thank you again for joining us. We are really excited about this one. Today's session is all about Optimizely One, the ultimate marketing OS, and we have two fantastic speakers lined up to walk you through it. And leading today's session, we have Minesh Shah, a solutions architect at NetSell, and then we have Simon Waragia, full stack software engineer at Hatimeria. Both bring deep hands-on expertise and will guide us through how Optimizely One ties together with our CMS, experimentation, data, and more, which ultimately crafts a unified, powerful platform for marketers and developers alike. Before we dive in, just a quick reminder, today's session is being recorded and will be shared with you via email afterwards. If you have any questions during the session, feel free to drop them in the chat or use the raise hand feature. I'll be keeping an eye out and we'll bring them into the conversation as we go. All right. With that, I'll hand it over to Minesh and Simon. Take it away, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Let me just share my screen first of all.
Yes.
And there we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. What we want to talk about today is Optimizely One, the ultimate marketing OS. But before we go into our talks, I would like to introduce my co-host, Simon. Simon, do you want to give a few words about yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Szymon Urega. You can call me Simon. I'm a software engineer at Hatimeria. I specialize in optimizing SaaS CMS and .NET development with a strong focus on headless architecture and composable commerce. And I've created a versatile starter template for optimizing SaaS CMS with Next.js and work on the projects integrating Shopify and BigCommerce using feature flags. And I'm also an Optimizely MVP, and I enjoy sharing knowledge through courses and community content. And happy to connect on LinkedIn or Slack. And I'm really excited to be here with you today.
Thank you, Simon. A little bit about myself. Yes, I am Minesh Shah. I am a solutions architect at NetSell. I've been with NetSell for going on 18 years now, and the same amount of time working with Episerver stroke Optimizely. So I'm a solutions architect. So I help companies with their digital transformation projects, connecting up to the complete ecosystem and see how Optimizely actually can fill their marketing needs and their technical stack. So that's about a little bit about me. So today we wanted to talk about Optimizely One and how it is the ultimate marketing OS. We have quite a packed agenda, as you can see. We'll be going through OptiID, SSO, ODP, and the rest. But before we dive into that, again, back to Simon to give an introduction on what today will entail.
Yeah, this session will take the form of the more like a live walkthrough, where we'll demonstrate how to optimize the works as a complete marketing ecosystem in practice, not just in theory. So all examples we will cover are based on real headless application built in Next.js, where we've integrated several key optimizing products listed here: Optimizely SaaS CMS, Shopify, Optimizely feature and web experimentation, and ODP. Both applications are accessible at this one link on the Vercel, and also using Optimizely DXP new front-end hosting beta program. And yeah, let me just quickly post a comment in the chat with all useful links to the experiments and link to these websites where the content of our webinar is. And yeah, let's dive in.
Perfect, thank you. So to start off with, I want to talk about Optimizely One and actually what Optimizely One is. Before I do that, what is the actual problem statement? Because we always had a suite of programs to help us with our marketing needs. For example, we had Zeus for customer data platform. We had Episerver CMS for our content management system. We had it for intelligence, and we had Welcome for our content marketing platform. So we already had all of these programs and suites of software to actually help with our marketing needs. But as time went on, we could see that although they are all under Optimize's umbrella, there wasn't actually a full integration between them two. So you're still working within each of the programs in silos. And how Optimizely have gone about on fixing that is actually putting in the integrations in place, putting in the security in place, and making sure that everything can talk to each other and play nicely with each other. So previously, where we would have a customer data platform and we would segment our users, we'd have to actually go in and do custom integration to build them segments out then again into the content management system or even the experimentation platform. We'd have to do a lot of that sort of stuff manually, whereas now it's just all connected and it works very nicely. So as it says over here, Optimizely One is the world's first operating system for marketing and digital teams. It connects everything from planning and content creation to layout, publishing, personalization, and analysis. This guide that you'll see on this website, is fully interactive and you can play with it. It might be best to go into full screen mode so you can actually get the full experience. I won't go through each of this because I do actually want to show you live what everything in Optimizely is about and how it all connects together. Before I do go on to Optimizely Identity, a couple of months ago, Simon done a talk on Optimizely SaaS CMS and PaaS CMS, and he made an analogy about both of them platforms where one SaaS CMS could be like renting a fully furnished house. Everything's there for you. You just go in with your suitcases, move in, and start living. Whereas PaaS CMS was more like a unfinished house that you're moving into, where you would need to do some customizations, do some decorations, purchase some furnishing, etc. You have that ability to customize. That analogy really stuck with me because it put into my brain how you can actually see that differentiation between the SaaS platform and PaaS platform for the CMS. So while we were thinking about this talk, I actually thought of then, if that is just moving into a house, furnished, not furnished, what exactly is Optimizely One? How I see it in my brain is I see Optimizely One as this full 5-star holiday resort where once you actually go, you get everything at your fingertips to use, but still have that composable nature of if you do want to add in any additional packages or any other software, let's say, it is still possible. So throughout this talk, you might hear some cliches or some analogies around a 5-star resort. I do apologize, but that's how we're going to frame it today. So what's the first part of Optimizely? Optimizely's first entrance is Optimizely Identity. So what is Optimizely Identity? Optimizely Identity actually lets you see the platforms available to you and gain easy access to all of these different products, but in a very safe and secure manner. You can use Optimizely Identity as your IDP, or if you wanted to, you could use your own IDP and connect via SSO to that. So Optimizely Identity is your central access layer for an entire Optimizely One ecosystem. It connects users to every product in the suite, from CMS and commerce to experimentation and the data platform, through a single secure point of entry. Now, going back to my 5-star holiday resort analogy, how I see Optimizely One, it's when you actually get to your hotel, you go into check-in, you get your key card, and you get your wristband to use all of the services. So Optimizely Identity, you could say, is your receptionist to all of the features the hotel gives you. So how Optimizely Identity looks like, before I actually go in and show you the product switcher, I'm going to go into incognito window and just show you how it would work. So the first point of call would be login.optimizely.com. You will see the splash screen like this, and then you would log in, use your user credentials. I'm using my SSO, so this is connected to the NetSales IDP, which is Azure Active Directory, or Entra ID as you now know it as. So if I log in, as you can see, it now asks me for my NetSol credentials, safe and secure. You're no longer using forms-based authentication. It is using SSO at NetSol's control. So let me log in. Oh, I've got a passkey, I hope. And as you can see, it's going through the NetSales process and it's logging me in. And straight away, I actually get to see all of the products available to me at NetSell. You have got a switch over here. So if you've got multiple clients all using OptiID as well, you can switch between clients if you wanted to as well. And then again, you can see the list of products all over here. So the first bit that I wanted to mention is you saw me going in via SSO. So it's extremely simple to connect your SSO up with Optimizely Identity, and your DevOps team can actually go in and do this, or your engineering or InfoSec team can go in and do this. So if you go into Admin Center, you will see a tab called SSO. You'll see a tab called Settings, and then Authentication, and you'll get single sign-on via SSO. We've got a connection to NetSol here, and if you wanted to add SSO connection, you can do it via OpenID Connect or SAML-based authentication. It's a very quick and easy configuration to do. No longer do you have to go to each individual software to configure your SSO. You're no longer using forms authentication. You are actually configuring SSO securely and correctly. And it's all kind of done for you. So you don't have that worry is taken away from your engineering team. You can also enable selective local logins as well if you wanted to. There is a slight security concern with this because then again, they are going back to using usernames and passwords, not hugely secure. But in this one instance, I have enabled this because I have invited Simon to also use my instance of all my different products for this demo. So I have enabled selective login, which I will be disabling after this masterclass. So that is how the SSO configuration is done. Just to show you what it would be asking for would be your connection name, the provider, Okta, Entra, other. Then you'll be asked to give a client ID, client secret, authorization URLs, but all of this information you'll be getting from your IDP provider anyhow. So all of that is configured elsewhere or lives elsewhere. So that is the SSO configuration. You also have dynamic provisioning. So what dynamic provisioning means is what I call just-in-time migrations. So you don't have to manually go and invite every user to your OptiID. If you have SSO set up and you've got, let's say, Entra ID securely set up, someone could go in and put in their Entra ID credentials, and what that would do is migrate that user into Optimizely Identity for you. So it's a just-in-time migration of that user into the platform, which saves you a headache of manually inviting everyone. Another great feature about this is you can actually manage all your roles and profiles within Entra ID itself and map them to OptiID. So on the upstream, when that user logs in, it would look at their role that they are in Entra ID, sync them up into Optimizely Identity, and you don't have any manual intervention. They are part of that group, and whatever you set up as that group having access to, they will have that level of access. So there's not much manual intervention you do. It is just for your InfoSec team to configure them groups and profiles correctly. And I will show you how to do that as well in this. The only negative aspect is at the moment, it only does additions of groups. It does not take away groups. So let's say you have a person in a group that you no longer have access to. Once you remove them from Entra ID or your IDP, they will still be part of that group in Optimizely Identity. But I believe it's on the roadmap to actually get that syncing working a little bit nicer in the future. So that's on the roadmap. So we're going to move on to product access. So as you can see, I have all the different products available to this instance of OptiID. You can see content management system, content recs, data platform, developer portal, etc., etc. Each of these will have role-based access control as well. So these are the roles that you can configure. Most of you guys are quite familiar with the content management system. So I will filter by that product. So you can see that we have 3 default roles, so content admins, So that is like your content admins content admins and content editors. That are your admins and editors for the CMS. You can add additional roles in here, and this will sync up to your CMS platform if you're on PaaS-based CMS. And then you can configure what actual permissions that role has. So for example, you may manually put in content reviewers in here. So that person will only be able to actually see the website in the CMS, not actually make any edit or be able to publish any content. So that's your roles, and they can sync up to the CMS. I can add custom roles, as you see here. You can select the actual product and go through that whole configuration process. Actually getting access to a product, then what you could go into is the group access. So group access is where we can actually map these roles to your IDPs, profiles and roles as well, which means that on the upstream, they'll automatically get synced. So let's say I have a role called set content admin. I can say they get access to the following products, content management system, and a role of content admin. Click on add. So what that would mean is I have added this particular role in. If that role also exists in my entry ID, it will automatically sync up. So I can save that. And on my next upstream, it would look at my entry ID and then sync that for me. So that is SSO with Optimizely identity and actual user syncing up. The next is product access. You kind of saw how I was actually giving access to that particular product as well as part of the group access. Another thing that you also see in OptiID is your usage and billings. So for example, if I was to go to my experimentation platform, you can see as it loads up, you will be able to see actually how much of my experimentation platform we're using, and you can lock the access down to this so only certain members or your certain colleagues can actually see this information. So that is regarding the actual access there. And now if I go back to home to actually see what your product switcher looks like, as you can see, I've got my content management system, I've got experimentation, I've got my data platform, I've also got Opal V2 in here. So that moves us nicely onto Opal, but I'm just going back to the presentation in a second. That is of me. Okay. So we've covered off single sign-on, roles, permissions, and product access. We are going to move on to Optimizely Opal now. So Optimizely Opal version 2, recently released. Opal, as you guys all know, covers the whole Optimizely ecosystem. Where version 1 previously was more targeted towards generative AI, version 2 actually gives you more agentic features as well, and you've got a lot more customizations you can do. With Opal, it is based off Gemini, so Google Gemini. It uses that as the large language model, and because it connects with all of the products in the Opal Optimizely ecosystem, it enriches that information and gives you a lot more information or context to work with when you are working with the AI platform. So what is Opal designed to do? It's designed to accelerate content creation with generative AI, automate repetitive workflows and tasks using instructions or actual agents that you can develop, which is coming soon and it's on the roadmap. Provide insights and suggestions based on your data. So because it has context of, let's say, the ODP or your experimentation platform, it can look at that information and actually give you very targeted information. It integrates seamlessly with all of the Optimizely products. There's no gap or there's nothing where it can't talk to a specific product at the moment. So yeah, like I say, it can surface insights, recommendations that span multiple products. It streamlines workflows by connecting data and actions between tools. And it delivers a consistent, intelligent assistant. So there is that consistency. It all looks the same, it all plays the same. So your users do not run into that problem of, okay, it's a different AI, it's a different LLM. It's none of that. It is very nicely tied together. And how I see Opal, going back to my holiday analogy, is Opal can be more concierge. It's at my fingertips. It can help me with anything like creating campaigns to generating content to basically whatever I would like it to do. Got some advantages over here about it breaking down silos between teams and products. It enables faster decision making, reduces much manual effort, and yeah, that is Opal. So the generative AI aspects of it, automated content generations, and the agentic AI element, it's the instructions that you can actually set up. So let's dive straight into Opal. So it's just loading in. As you can see, I just used the optimize the identity to log me straight into that platform. So this is the screen you get. These are the messages. One thing to remember about the messages is they are individual to yourself. You can't share them like you can with ChatGPT messages. They are to your own. So no one can see your chats or messages, and you can't share your messages either. Another bit I mentioned is product instances. As you can see, my Opal can connect to my data platform, it can connect to my experimentation platform, it can connect to my content management system and give me that consistent view across platforms. If you do not see your other products appearing in here, you can actually enable your instances by going over here and just ticking off the boxes. By default, I believe it's the experimentation platform which is enabled, but then you can manually tick off the boxes for your data platform, content management system. And if I had, let's say, content marketing platform, I could tick that off and it would become available to my Opal instance. So it's very easy to use. If you look at the chats, you can say, for example, please help me make an experiment for my homepage. At the moment, I've not even selected a product instance over here. I'm pretty sure what it's going to ask me is a URL of my web page. I can either upload the URL or upload a screenshot. So I could literally take a screenshot and paste it in, or I could give it a URL and it would start helping me actually define that experiment for me. I can then give it actual context of a particular product to help me that bit more as well. So what else can Opal version 2 now do? We have instructions. So this is more of not just generative AI. This is where you can connect up agents and give them tasks to do to actually help you do your workload a lot smarter, a lot easier. So for example, I have a couple of agents active at the moment. If I look at this bite-size mode, so what this does, I can tell it and I can put together a whole load of instructions for Opal to work together and actually be able to generate me the content I need. So for example, this particular one that you see, Chunk, it's Simon Chapman gave me this the other day, so I've been using this as I find it quite neat. So when a user types in Chunk, activate bite-size mode. In this mode, you will, step one, introduce features, inform the user that you are analyzing content. So because it takes some time to analyze content, we just want to keep the user updated about it's going away to do some work. So it might take some time to come back. So we'll ask for a URL. Ask the user to provide a URL to actually generate bite-sized content, process the content, and what this does across multiple platforms, it generates some content based off the URL that I send it to give me messages that I could post up on my social feeds, for example, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And I can tell it a way of speaking to me and bringing that back. It's basically, I'm giving it multiple prompts to work with. So that is bite-sized mode, and actually to see it in action, I can literally type in chunk. It should ask me for a URL. While it's asking me for a URL, let's get an article. Let's see this article over here. So you've activated bite-sized mode that can break down content from your URL. So I just need to pass in the URL. And it's going to go away and think and come back with a whole load of posts that I can use on my socials. So because this one takes some time to do, I have made one earlier. So you can see a bite-sized mode over here. So you can see, basically it's the same thing I've done. I gave it that article and it's given me, okay, I'm on it. Here's some bite-sized posts. So for my LinkedIn, it can post me this. For Facebook, I could post that, Twitter, etc., etc. And I can basically go in and do that for me. There are other instructions as well. So for example, I've got a personalization advisor. The personalization advisor, I have actually connected it up to my web experimentation platform to give it some more instructions and some more context on what it can give me. So to show you that instruction, if I go in here and look at pre-built instructions for my personalization advisor, you can see that I've given it a context of a particular product, experimentation, and all of my experimentation platforms it's got an instance of. So every time I do personalization advisor, it will go in with a set of instructions and go away and work out, basically do what it needs to do. And Opal's got consistent behavior across all of the platforms. So if I actually go back to home and go into my experimentation platform, so over here, you can see that Opal will automatically just come up and it will look native to how you were doing it in from Optimize the Identity. So ask Opal, I can tag it to the side. I can actually make new chats, make it big full screen. It's same consistent behavior. So that is Opal. So in this instructions, we go through how the agentic AI bits work, how the generative AI bits work, and coming in the future roadmaps, you will actually see custom tooling and custom SDKs, use Python, C# and .NET SDKs that you could use to actually build your own tools, etc. So what you have seen so far is the evolution of Opal, whereas previously Opal was just mostly generative AI and quite generic. It was just using Google Gemini as a large language model. With version 2, it's a bit more enriched. It's actually using your context, your data, your customers' data or your data that never gets shared anywhere because Gemini is with Google Gemini, Opal, Optimizely have a business account, so none of the information that you share with this AI gets shared with the learning of that LLM in a whole. And the level 3 is the agentic bit, so where you can actually enrich and customize a lot more and a lot deeper. So that is Opal. So the next bit I wanted to show was the Optimizely data platform. So the Optimizely data platform is your customer data platform. You can get a 360 view of all of your customer information. It's all in a single place. So you've got a single place of truth, and then you can act on that customer information. With Optimize the Data Platform, it's not only web information it can collect. If you've got lots and lots of integrations you can do with the Optimize the Data Platform, you can even collect offline data to feed in offline data to the Optimize the Data Platform and act on that data on the website. For example, if someone is actually making a purchase at a store and they've got if they've got, let's say, a card like a Tesco's Club card, that information can be uploaded onto the Optimize the Data platform, and we can marry that all up with that customer's profile and that data. You can use Optimize the Data platform to do campaigns. So if you wanted to actually act on a behavior on the let's say someone's added something to the cart and you want to send an email out, like let's say they've not gone through the checkout process, the Optimize Your Data platform can also do that for you. So what we're going to do first of all is show you all of the integrations, and then I'm going to show you how we can actually activate a campaign. So first of all, let's go to the Optimize Your Data platform, which is over here. It's just loading in now. So this is the Optimize Data platform. Please remember this is just a sandbox. So there's either a lot of test data. First bit I wanted to show you was all the different integrations you can do. So if we look into, give me a second. I just wanted to see. Data setup, that's it. So you can see that if you go to data setup and integrations, you can connect up the Optimize the Data platform to all of these platforms. And you don't need to actually do any custom coding for this. You can, for example, connect it up to Shopify. You can just give it your store name, log in with your credentials, and it can connect up to Shopify. These little handy arrows over here tell you what Optimize the Data platform is doing. So in this instance, for example, Shopify API can send data to the ODP, but ODP will not send data to the Shopify API. So with AWS, it can talk to AWS and retrieve information from AWS. If you want to just install ODP on a website, you've got the JavaScript tag you can add, and it gives you some quick instructions on how to actually add the JavaScript, etc. It's not just these platforms that you can connect up to the ODP. You have got your app directory as well. So if you look at the app directory, there's hundreds and hundreds of integrations that you can connect up. And it's not just Optimizely platforms. As you can see, there's a whole host of platforms you can connect up to the ODP, which is where the composable nature of Optimizely comes in. Although it's got a very nice suite of products all connected and tied together, you've got that composable nature and that connectivity that you can also still do. Okay, so that is the integrations. The next I want to talk about is activations and campaigns. So for example, with activations and campaigns, you can actually create a new campaign. So these can be behavioral. So like I said before, let's say some customer adds something to the cart but forgets to check out. You can contact that customer either via a message on the website or sending an email out saying, look, you've got something in the cart. Have you forgotten that? You could send a one-time personalized message out to a segment or a customer. Again, you can do all of this kind of stuff via the ODP without actually doing any coding. It's all done via this platform in a codeless manner. What I'm going to show now is actually how can I add a form via the ODP onto the website without actually me physically coding up a form. So let's say I want a web. I want to collect it all embed. So what this one, these are a pre-built form. You can start from scratch if you want, but I want to use a pre-built one to save us a little bit of time. So collect it all embed, collect your visitor's name, phone numbers, emails, etc., etc. So it's going to create me a campaign. First of all, it's called collect it all embed. I want all visitors to be involved in this. And let's start giving it some touch points. So just so you guys are aware, I have made in the CMS a blank page. I just called it masterclass demo. So if we were to see what that masterclass demo looks like, at the moment, it should be literally just a blank page. If I go back to my campaign, let's say it's a form. As you can see, it's just a drag and drop form. So at the moment, it's collecting the email, name, phone number, date of birth, gender. All of this is customizable. I can change the color. Let's say I wanted this button to be blue rather than orange. I can just change that using this editor. Nice and easy to use. And I can now target something. So if my URL, page URL contains masterclass dash demo. I want it to be embedded, not a modal pop-up. So I need to target a particular div on this page. I know that it's a blank page and my highest div is container. And I want it to be inside of my container, this form. Now, I'm just going to quickly see and preview what this looks like. So have a look there. And web page URL, yes, I want to demo it on here. So generate preview. And yep, okay, I'm previewing nicely. As you can see, that simple form is quite easily being put onto my page. I've not published anything yet. So if I was to just refresh this page without it being previewed, you can see it's still not going to have any of that information. Okay, so it's not published yet. So let's go and customize it a little bit more. I'm happy with how it looks. Now, how do I want it to actually appear? So I'll always show embed content. I can customize it a bit further. So I could say only show it twice or only show it if the user's not seen it a couple of times. There's a few more constraints you can do with the different types of modals you use. But so far, I'm happy with how it is. And we can give that a name. So collect all and click on save. Okay, so that's my modal there done, and we can publish it. So if I just go back to my campaigns and go over here and click on go live. Yes, go live. This sometimes does take a few minutes to show up, so hopefully I'm lucky. And if I control F5 this, and it's still okay, you can see that the modal is now actually live on the website. Any of you guys can go onto this URL and you will actually see that form appearing on my website. Now, okay, I put this form on. Why do I want a form on this website? Basically, I want to be able to identify my customer. So I'm going to actually submit some dummy data and submit this form. And I want to actually show you what a user profile might start looking like. So let's put in masterclass at demo.com, first name Minesh, and phone number. I'll just do, I am not sure what US formats look like, but let's just go with that. Date of birth. And what is your gender? Yep. Sign up. Oh, okay, that's a little bit wrong. Okay, so I've submitted my form there. The reason I'm wanting to show you this is because I'm now actually starting to collect the information or data about this customer. So the next topic was data collection. So if I go back to ODP, if I look at data setup, you can go to data mappings, and you will see that I have, data setup and objects and fields. You'll see for a particular customer, I have mapped specific fields. So I'm collecting, let's say, birthday, city, the name, where they live, etc., and what constitutes PII information for each of these fields. So first thing, before we actually start looking at a customer's data, I do want to say that a user has to be in a PII role on the Optimizely identity. So I'm going to quickly show you what that actually means. So if I go back to Optimizely identity over here and go to Admin Center, and I'm just going to show you my user and show you the role that that user is in. Because if that user is not in that particular role, even if he's a super admin, that user will not be able to see any personal information. So let's look at product access, data platform, users, Minesh Shah. You will see that this particular user is in this user group called PII viewer. They have to be in that group to be able to see personal information. Even if they are a super admin not in this group, they will not see any personal information. So Optimizely Data Platform conforms to full GDPR compliance, and you have got the full opt-in, opt-out states, and you can delete data quite easily. So if we go back to the Optimize Your Data platform, and data platform, this one over here, and look at customers and profiles. I want to click on show all. I think I called it masterclass demo. Sometimes I don't appear on this list straight away, so I'm going to search for it. Nope, still not found. So I'm just going to do one. Like I said, sometimes there is a little bit of a delay for that customer to show up. What I'm going to do, just syncing, see if that makes any difference. If not, I can show you another profile that I did make. So go back to customers, profiles, and masterclass, see if it comes up. Yeah, you go, masterclass at demo.com. First of all, you are seeing event history, so everything this user has been doing. I only recently signed up, but because my cookie for Optimizely data platform was there, it got some historic data as well. So stuff that I was doing on this browser on June the 24th, June the 20th, June the 17th, etc. It's basically tied all of that information together. Now, if I look at the customer details, you can see that it's got all of the information. It's gender male, it's got the date of birth, it's got my name there, it's got the identifiers. So it's got that VUID or that cookie ID that's on that browser. And if I then look at memberships, it can tell me a little bit more about this particular user, any custom segments that user might be in, or any real-time segments that user might be in. I will show you real-time segments in a minute. I can also then use Opal to generate me a summary about this user. Hopefully it's got enough information to generate me that information. So you can see, look, based on the information, this particular user likes to go to the blog page. It's got an interest in masterclass demos. So you can basically use all of that information to give you a personalized experience or run experiments based off that segments. So I have made a real-time segment now, which is the next topic I'm going to go into. So what real-time segments is, it adds users to particular segments that you can then real-time personalize to that person or to that actual segment, or you can actually run experiments so only that user sees that actual experiment. So we are going to be switching between the web experimentation platform in a second, but I just want to quickly show you about actually segmenting a user. So I have a couple of segments that I've done. So one is a blog page visitor. So this one's quite a simple one. So this is if a person in the last 28 days visits a page that contains blog, then he will be segmented into that group. So for example, if I go into here and actually go to blog, I'm just opening up that blog page. I am actually running a experiment on this page, so it knows that I'm actually part of that blog visitor segment. So it's showing me that welcome back message. Again, I'll show you that when I come to web experimentation. But another segment I've got for this particular user or this system as well is if someone actually adds something to the cart. So product added to a cart. So this is actually a built-in segment, but we have got a commerce-based product over here. So if I go to shop and I go to a particular product, let's see, I go in here and I click on add to cart. Now I've added this particular product to the cart, and after some time, I think there's an SLA of 90 seconds for a real-time segment in the Optimize Data platform to actually be segmented into that group. So let's just quickly go back to my real-time segments, and actually let's go to profiles and customer profiles, show all, masterclass. Okay, still not actually come in here, but what you would normally see is that this person has added something, so viewed a product detail page and then added something to the cart as well. So how that would look if I show you on another profile, show all. So you can see that, first of all, product detail view and added to cart. If I expand out the events, you'll see that I looked at a product detail view and I actioned that added to cart event. What that means now is I can actually do some experiments or do personalizations off that information. So if I go now to the next section, so we've covered off customer profiles and we've covered off real-time segments, and we're going to move on to the experimentation platform. So I'm going to use my web experimentation platform to actually run a personalization campaign rather than just an experiment, because you can actually do both personalizations with the web experimentation platform, but also optimizely have a standalone personalization campaign platform. If you only wanted to do personalization and you did not want to run any experiments, you can do that as well. So if we go back into here, first of all, I will go into my experimentation platform. Again, I'm using Optimizely Identity just to switch between products. Now, before I start going into personalization campaigns, I want to mention that you can create a new project, and there's 3 different types of projects you can make. You can do web experimentation. So this uses client side to actually execute your experiments. So it uses JavaScript. So sometimes with experimentations, you could sometimes see a flicker when that experiment is run and actually seeing the actual content of that experiment. You can mitigate against some of that if you are using JavaScript frameworks. You can use before interactive, after interactive to actually make it so you don't see that flicker. But a better way of actually running a project would be doing it using edge-based experimentation. What edge-based experimentation is it uses basically, it executes the experiments at the edge, which means your middleware can intercept the response and then just personalize or execute that experiment for the end user, and they don't see that flicker. That does take some engineering effort to actually set up, but once set up, it's quite easy to do. And the final way is feature experimentation you can run through. Simon's going to run through the whole feature experimentation aspect in a second, but that is a little bit more developer intensive, but it gives you the best of actually running experiments at a bigger scale and without seeing that flicker. But for today's experiments, I'm going to be using web experimentation. So if we just close out of here, so actually seeing a experimentation being run. So let's say I want to do that welcome back message. So first of all, okay, let's say I want to run a new experiment on my homepage. This is my homepage over here. A simple experiment I could run, for example, is I could ask AI for some examples, but let's run a simple one. I want to tell the users that something might be running low on stock. So just basically trying to see if I do an experiment, an A/B experiment to say, okay, something's running on stock, will it actually force them to buy and run an experiment across that? So how to do that and use the WYSIWYG editor to actually customize something like that. So if I go to my experimentation platform, I click on create and want to do a simple A/B test. Stock low and description, stock low SKU. I want it to on a safe page on my home page. So I want to execute this experiment on my home page, and I want to create experiment. I can target particular audiences here, but I want this experiment to just run across everyone. So I have my original version and I have my variation. So for example, if I go into the original version and you want to just see what that looks like, I can click on this variation live and you'll see what that looks like there. And again, if I now go to my variation 1, this is where I actually use my WYSIWYG editor to actually do or configure an experiment. So just below here, I want to actually add some HTML to say the stock is low. So first of all, let's create, insert some HTML. I want it after the title. So I want it in there. And let's say I want a p tag of low stock. Okay, so just below that title, it says low stock, and I'm going to click on save. And I want to do some further customization to that. Let's say I don't want the font to be that big. So typography, let's lower that down to maybe 14 pixels. And let's make it red to show, look, there's low stock, so a bit of urgency. So you can see that you've got that low stock message, and I can click on save. And I can preview what that would actually look like to the end users. So you can see that I'm looking at a preview at the moment. So if someone falls into this experiment, it would be, they would see that low stock message. Other bits of an experiment that I would configure would be who's actually seeing this. So traffic allocation, I can say it's 100% of users will see either variation, original variation, or my variation. So it's doing a 50-50 A/B split. The metrics that I want to actually collect on. So I can add a metric. So I could say if they click or go to a particular page, in this instance, if they actually view this page, that I could say is a conversion of that metric. So clicked on product. I would need to pre-configure matrices in my optimize the experimentation, but if I just did page event metric, is I can either select a pre-made one that you can see here, or I can make a new one so they've clicked on through to that product. Other bits you would need to do is schedule, and then you can actually go live with that particular experiment. I'm just realizing the time at the moment, and I do want to just show you a personalization campaign that we have made. So previously, when I went to the blog page, you can see that we are seeing this welcome back message. That is because I have an audience set up of blog visitor. So how I've done that is using the Optimizely data platform, that real-time segment of someone actually visiting the blog page, I have as a real-time segment, and you can see my real-time segments actually coming into the Optimizely data platform. So I could drag that in. It gets me a count of how many people actually fall into that segment. So I've got 17 plus users who will be actually seeing this personalization message. Now, that is just the real-time segments coming from the ODP. So this is where we talk about them connected systems. And if we look at optimizations and personalization campaigns, so I have basically set the metrics up. So variation 1, they would see this welcome back message if they are in that real-time segment. So if I go back to that blog page, you can see that welcome message for this particular user. You're not seeing it because I'm actually part of a different audience at the moment. I've overridden myself, where you can see that what I was showing you before with that welcome back message and how it would look to a normal user with that. So that is a quick run through the Optimizely experimentation platform with web experimentation. The key benefits of it: there's a no-code visual editor, it's risk-free testing. You can see how easy it is to configure different elements, how you can actually add and use your real-time segments in audiences, and basically action upon your customer 360 data that you have gathered. With that all being said, I have now come to a conclusion with my experimentation bit. I've run through the personalization campaign, so we are ready to move on to an in-depth view of SaaS CMS with Simon.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Minash. Let me take the screen. Minash, can you please stop sharing the screen? Oh,
Yeah, sure.
awesome. All right, so before we dive into the optimized SaaS CMS, I would like to briefly connect to what Minash mentioned before. Actually, what we already covered, some fascinating topics like experimentation, real-time segmentation. However, it's important to remember that to successfully start experimenting, you need a solid foundation, a strong core side with excellent content management. That's exactly why now we'll focus on optimizing SaaS CMS, which ensures outstanding content management for your site. And let's start. Okay. In this area, we will not dive into the coding stuff, technical stuff. We will briefly touch the what features are in the optimized SaaS CMS. If you would like to dive deep into technical side of SaaS CMS, I've recently created free course for that, where all the aspects like cache revalidation, block factory mapper, multi-language is documented here. All right, so now let's talk about this. What actually the optimized SaaS CMS is. It's a headless content management, which lets you manage content in one place and show it in many different channels, platforms like websites, mobile apps, or even screens in the stores. It's also scalable and flexible, so it works well for different types of businesses. And like Minash mentioned before, it's fully furnished house. You take that and live in that building instead of buying all the furniture and stuff like that, like in past version. And one of the coolest feature in optimized SaaS CMS is Visual Builder, which add the content editor much more flexible way of creating the content in the grid layout. Then we've got REST API, when we can, using code first approach, create content types and content, configure optimized graph for best bets, synonyms, and so on. And also create webhooks. The one really useful webhook is the on-publish event, in order to tell our headless application that something was changed on that page and it needs to be revalidated. And finally, we've got our optimized graph, which is single source of truth for all of our content. We can fetch all of our content using GraphQL. And now let's dive into in detail into Visual Builder. And let's start with understanding the structure in optimizing SaaS CMS. In this diagram, you can see that we've got experience, which inherits from page, which means experience has all of the features from typical page, but also have some additional features, which is called composition. And this is something like building content area. We don't need to add new fields in our page type in order to add blocks. That's built in, and it also has support for better previewing that content in Visual Builder. Then we've got our section. Section can function like a blocking content area. It's checkbox in admin panel. I will show you later for that. But in SaaS CMS, we've got also the built-in section, which is called blank section, which includes the rows and columns, and we can create layout of our page in much more flexible way. And last element is the actually the called also element, and element is simple block and can be used in section, in the last part in rows, in columns, sorry, and it can also be used like a block in content area. Okay, so let's see how this works. Let's see visual builder. Let's create new page. Let's call it CEO experience. Let's call it masterclass demo 2 because I saw there is a masterclass demo already created. And this is the visual builder preview. We've got our properties, which is all content that goes, that it's not blocks in experience goes into the properties. Previously, we need to switch the mode into all properties in order to preview these fields. Now it's added in the outline, and every new section will be added into the composition in experience type. And we can add the blank section, which is built-in, or any content or any block which will be used as a section here. So we've got our block. We can also add the shared block from which we already used multiple times on our page, and we created it here. But when we use the blank section, which has some this grid layout, we can add row and column. And let's add element, let's call it profile block. And we can see that it functions the same like I would create just like simple block in content area. But here we've got our flexibility. We can actually create here another element, another profile block. We can change the style for that. I choose style for column instead of profile block. Let's call it primary. And I can even add another column, and for now it could be text block. I can write something here. We can create all the layout in much more flexible way, and that's the beauty of the visual builder, the flexibility how to create a content. Okay, let's back to the presentation now. Let's focus on the blueprints. What the blueprints is, this is the shared template, shared layout. Once approved, I can use it multiple times and can be really useful for some blog pages, landing pages, or product details page. In order to create some blueprint, let's say it's so beautiful design that I want to save it, we can save as a blueprint here, add the blueprint name, and another person who want to create exactly the same layout can use already what I've built here and change the content and publish that. Let's see as a block how to create the page using the blueprint. It's called test block. Let's name it masterclass block. And it's already created with blank section, with profile block, some text, and at the bottom we've got our contact form. If I want to change something here, like another blog post, can simply, maybe let's grab this. And publish it. And that's all. That's already approved layout for blogs. So the way of creating content is much easier and faster. And also there is some great feature on the roadmap in the CMS that user from CMP will be able to publish content using Blueprint in SaaS CMS without accessing the CMS at all. So that's the another key point for Blueprints. Here we've got reports, but let me show you where you can find it. We've got few built-in reports, but here is nothing interesting. So let's go to scheduled jobs. Scheduled jobs. Here is one important thing in scheduled jobs. In SaaS CMS, we are not able to add any new custom scheduled jobs. We are only limited what's built in SaaS CMS, which is the main difference in the past versions, where we can create a lot of scheduled jobs. And let's talk about the built-in scheduled jobs, the automatic emptying of trash, which is made every 30 days, link validation, optimize the graph delta synchronization, which is not the full, since only the recent content changes do optimize the graph, and optimize the graph full synchronization syncs everything to graph. It's slower, but it's much more intensive because we remove all of our data and index new data. And so let's talk about the content manager. Content manager is really useful. This will be added in optimize the CMS 13 past version. This can be really useful when your CMS grows. It can become harder to find the content you needed, especially if you are not familiar with folder structure. The traditional content tree works well for small sites, but for larger sites, it can be difficult to manage. That's why we've got the content manager view. It shows all your content like pages, images, and blogs in one flat table. This makes it easier to find and manage content no matter where it's stored. And we can filter, so we want to display the pages that wasn't published yet and are in the draft mode. So in short, Content Manager gives you a faster and more flexible way to manage content, especially as your website becomes bigger and more complex. That would be it. I just want to show you also one cool feature about the Optimizely, the translations of the page using the Opal. We already, let's nothing here. Okay, we've got only this content in English. Let's translate this content to Polish. We can use it using the Opal, and it will translate all of our content on that page into the Polish, and in much faster way. Something here. Oh. Oh, I need to first publish the English one. And then the Polish. All right, cool. Cool. We can move to the feature experimentation. Let me quickly explain what optimizing feature experimentation is. It's a tool that helps us test new features before we show them to all users. We can run experiments and see how people react. This helps us make smarter choices based on real data, not just guesses. And we can also release features slowly, only to a small group of users first. This way, if something goes wrong, we can catch it early. And I will show you an example of this shortly. Why is that useful? Well, it reduces the risk because we don't launch something to everyone right away. It also helps us personalize the experience. Different users can see the different versions, and it helps us improve performance because we can measure what works best. There are many ways we can use this. Here are a few simple use cases for that. So in short, it's a powerful way to test and improve using real feedback from real users. How to configure that? So let's move on to feature experimentation. I've already created project, but once we create new project, Minash already told about the web experimentation. Here we just need to click this button and add name for project, and we can start from scratch. Then we can configure our audiences. Here we can also use the ODP and segments like Mina showed before. I don't have the connection to the ODP, so it's not here. And we can add audiences, for example, mobile users from Poland or stuff like that. Then we have our events, and this can be custom events which can be used as a measurement tool. So we can create a new event, purchase complete, and add some custom properties like value, which can be string, and price or any useful data which can be sent as an event. And lastly, we have our flags. In order to create flag, we need to add the name. Let's call it masterclass demo. Let's go to production environment and add a rule. Here we've got our three type of rule. Targeted delivery, where we can use our audiences and say display this feature only for mobile users in Poland, split the traffic, and turn on and turn off the feature. Then we've got our A/B test, where we can also specify some feature to test, like previously mentioned, mobile user in Poland, to test two variations of some feature and use custom created event to measure the results of that A/B testing. And multi-armed bandit, it's using the machine learning to dynamically allocate traffic to the best performing variation. So when it's clear that variation A is winning one, it will allocate this traffic to variation A much earlier than in A/B tests. So let's create targeted delivery. We can add some name, masterclass. Here we can configure the audiences. Let's call it everyone and allocate the traffic. Okay, but how it work in action? Discard changes, and let's go to simple experiment where we are displaying the promo banner flag for half a users. That's one. It's displayed only on the search page. So when I reload that page, I need to clear the cookie. And we can see that this banner is displayed. I can change the traffic allocation to show that banner always. And let's open that in incognito mode. We can see this banner is displayed, or configure that we don't want to use that. We don't want to show that banner. And let's also open the incognito, and it's not displayed. That's the example of simple traffic allocation. And that's the example of the first experiment. Second experiment is by using the problem is that in our headless application, we've got two sources for products, the commerce and the CMS. And basically we can use the Shopify search and optimize the graph for searching in product. But we can guess which is better which has much more results for given search terms, but we can also test that by using the feature flag. And here we also specify the audience to everyone and allocate traffic to 20%. That for 20% of user, we will display Shopify search provider instead of optimize the graph. And we can increase that traffic allocation if we can see that everything went smoothly and there is no issues with Shopify search. And actually, there is third one, the A/B test, where we are measuring with metric which variation Optimizely or Shopify have much better search results. So in order to create that, we've got two variations, the Shopify and Optimizely. We split the traffic half and a half and displayed, use the search metrics as displayed search results. And let me preview that. And we are measuring that increase in total value per conversion in displayed search results event. And for that event, we add two custom properties, which is results, which is number, and the search term. And we are sending that event every time user visit the search page. And let me show you that. This is this is for optimizing graph. We've got free results. If I will check the same in Shopify, I'll still. We also have free results. And In that way, we can measure how many results are returned for a given search term and choose the best search provider for our site. Coming back to simple A/B testing, the Vercel one have a really cool feature about the Flags Explorer. We can basically override the setting in our application in order to use Shopify search and show promo banner, and we can preview it with the override values. Let's now use the optimize the search. Oh, it doesn't return values for black, but here is the source that it's from optimize the graph. All right, cool. Let's back to presentation and configuration stuff. How to implement that? In order to implement that, I've used the Optimize SDK, which is the NPM package, and the Vercel Flags package, which help us structure all the feature flags in the same way, and app router for server-side rendering, and webhook integration for real-time data file updates. How to achieve that? We need to set up two values, which is the, let's cancel that, go to settings. First one is optimize the webhook secret. And in order to get that webhook secret, we need to go here, create that, enter the URL of our application, the name of the webhook, and once we create that webhook, it will return a secret, which will be used later in the API. And the API key, which is basically the SDK key here, and we can preview here all the configuration in our project in future experimentation using this. Then we need to fetch the data file, the JSON I showed you before, add the next tags, which will be used later for caching that value, that JSON file. And once we've got created the webhook, we can revalidate the tag, revalidate the cache by tag, because we know where something changing data file using the webhook. So we've got real-time revalidation for that, for fetching the data file from Optimize. Here is the first experiment which we configured in feature experimentation. And in order to do that, here is the structure required by the Flags packages. These values are later used by this feature flags feature in the Vercel toolbar. And here goes all the logic regarding the experiment. And here we've got our method get optimize is instance, which is making the API call in order to get the data file JSON, and then based on that data file JSON, create instance of Optimize. Get user ID, create user context, and use the decide method by passing the key from the Optimize feature experimentation admin panel. And if the decision is enabled, we return true or false. And then later in the page component, we can use this method by we get our Boolean flag. This is the name of the method. This is our logic for that method. And then based on the flag, we are getting search products from Shopify or optimize the graph. The same logic is exactly the same for the showing promo banner. And here is how to implement the real-time data file updates using the webhook from Optimizely. And for more information about that, I recommend using to going to Vercel template about the Optimizely feature experimentation. And there is API which take care of the verifying Optimize the webhook, so we can grab the code from here, like I did. Okay. Is there something more about the? All right. It's okay. So we can move to composable commerce, and once we now have covered feature flags and experimentation, let's move on to broader architecture approach behind our solution, which is composable commerce. Composable commerce is about choosing the best services for each part of your e-commerce stack, like CMS, PIM, cart, checkout, search, and connecting them all through APIs. Instead of relying on a single monolithic platform, we compose our system from independent specialized components. This gives us flexibility and scalability and the freedom to innovate faster. To visualize this, you can see the AI generated image that captures the idea. A set of the disconnected boxes, each representing a different service, brought together by the application layer using APIs, which is in the center of the image. None of these services are directly aware of each other, but the application connects them all together. This is the core idea behind composable commerce. Now, how Optimizely fit into this model? Here is diagram of the standard composable commerce approach. We've got here our PIM system, which have all of the data about the product, and this PIM system add this information our transactional commerce, which can be commerce tools, Shopify, BigCommerce, and or any other transactional commerce, and store any additional data which is not covered by default fields, platform fields, in meta fields. Then we've got our optimized SaaS CMS, which take care of all of our content on the website, the homepage, blog, landing pages, and index all of that into optimize the graph. And then we've got our headless application, which connects to all of that system, gets content from optimize the graph. And in case of the products, we get all of needed commerce data from a commerce service and all of the content from optimize the graph. And in our headless application, we need to combine these two sources into one and display the PDP, checkout, and any stuff like that. So integration logic looks like this. So PIM sends core product data and meta fields to transactional commerce. SaaS CMS sends all the content to optimize the graph, Then our front-end application connects to optimize the graph and load CMS pages and multilingual product information. And also front-end communicate to commerce services in order to fetch real-time data like cards, prices, promotions, and inventory. And you can see an example of that approach in the demo application we built for today webinars. Then let's talk about the Connect platform and why this is so why OCP fits exactly into composable commerce. Let's start with what the OCP really is. OCP is a platform that helps the developers build connections that integrate with different systems like PIM, commerce platforms, or analytic tools, and bring their data into optimize the graph. Developers can publish these connectors to optimize the app directory, and marketers can easily install them without writing code. We have two options. We can publish the public application, which can be used by anyone, or we can publish the private package, which can only be used by our client. So in simple terms, OCP acts as a central integration hub. It takes information from external systems and sync them into optimize the ecosystem. Here is the example approach with optimize the Connect platform. So PIM sends data to commerce like previous, but here commerce sends data to Connect, and optimize the Connect platform can also react for webhook changes about some data changes in commerce, and then optimize the Connect platform can index all of the data into the optimize the graph or SaaS CMS, and the optimize the SaaS CMS, this is the same, also indexes all published content into the graph. And in the front-end application, optimize the graph now is our source of truth for all of the content, because all the data from commerce and CMS are stored in one place, so it simplifies the architecture a lot. We don't need to combine two sources into one. But our frontend still needs to communicate to commerce services in order to handle the cart, login, checkout, promotions, inventory, and stuff like that. So now let's compare the architecture with and without OCP. Without OCP, data is spread across multiple systems, PIM, CMS, commerce, and managed separately. The front-end app has to combine data from multiple APIs, which increases complexity. Real-time data is more accurate because we talk directly with commerce service for commerce changes, and scalability is limited because we need to make more API calls, and it can slow down our application. With OCP, product and content data is centralized in optimize the graph. The front end only needs to query optimize the graph for most things, and but on the other hand, things introduce some delay because there is commerce service notify the OCP that something changed. OCP needs to handle the logic behind that, and then sends data to optimize the graph, and optimize the graph sends notification to our headless commerce service talk directly to our headless application. So here can be some delays due to a lot of providers. But you gain better developer experience, simplified architecture, and performance at a scale. So in short, OCP enables a unified source of truth and a faster, more maintainable front-end application. Let's talk about the Shopify. Here is the photo I took last year at the Optimizely hackathon in London. It shows a sign that says, by the time you read this, we've processed over 5,000 checkouts. It handles this really stuck with me because it perfectly illustrates just how massive and scalable Shopify is. It handles an incredible amount of traffic and transactions every second, and it's built for growth. We also know that Shopify is one of the leading commerce platforms in the world. So why to integrate Shopify with Optimizely? Because when we combine Shopify's e-commerce engine with Optimizely powerful content management and experimentation tools, you can build a personalized, high-performing shopping experience. Okay, so now let's talk about the integrating point. One key decision when implementing the composable commerce is to choose the right integration point between your CMS and e-commerce platform. This step is critical because it determines how your content connects to your products. And the most common and reliable approach is to use the SKU as the linking field. You can also use the product IDs or other unique identifiers, but SKUs are often the best choice because they are consistent, easy to manage, and already widely used across systems. When we choose our integration point and it's the SKU, there is a second important decision to take, whether to use the product SKU or variant SKU. With variant SKU, we have much more precision because we can link to a content to a specific size or color of product. This allows us to more tailored content for PDP, but requires much more complex mapping. On the other hand, product SKU represents the base product. It's simpler, but we don't have so much control over the content. For purpose of this demo, I use the product SKU in order to link the content from CMS and data from commerce. And as a result, we can see this image, which illustrates the logic behind the integration points. The blue board sections are powered by the CMS. This is things like the product image, title, description, and so on. And the green bordered elements come from the commerce side, which is price, product options, and add to cart button. These two systems are connected behind the scenes using the product ID and variant ID, but from the user's points of view, it all looks like one seamless experience. Let me show you how this look in Shopify admin panel and Optimizely. Let me log into Shopify and Optimizely. So here we've got our products. We don't have any content for that. We specify only variants, the price for variants, and inventory for variants. In the CMS side, we've got in Polish, let me change to English. In the CMS, we can adjust the content, the SEO, and stuff like that. And then all this data are combined, and we can basically have the nice user experience. Oh, in Poland. So that's how it looks like. All of that data are from CMS, but when I click Add to Cart, we are communicating directly to Shopify. And once we are it's logging again. We have our checkout experience, which is directly from Shopify. In Shopify, we can configure our shipping methods, payment options. There are a lot of built-in integrations with shopping providers and payment providers. And let me pay for that. And then in our admin panel Shopify, we can see that this product was purchased and all of the data about the product. That's the integration. Let's talk about the technical side for that. And basically how the logic looks like when user visit the product details page. So first step is to query all of the data from Shopify based on the URL. So when I'm visiting the product details page, the URL here is our unique identifier in Shopify, and based on this, we are able to query all needed data from Shopify. Then we have our Shopify data, and we've got our product SKU. Based on that SKU, we are making query to optimize the graph in order to get the product based on SKU field, which needs to be the same like the provided from Shopify. Then we get our all content related data, and then we create the mapper to merge both sources and create new object with all needed data from Shopify and Optimizely. And the final output is exactly the same I described before. And that will be it for composable commerce. Now let's move quickly to front-end hosting, which is currently in beta program. It's very similar to what's in the currently in Optimizely DXP for .NET applications. So we've got our front-end hosting. We need to log in using the SSO, and here we've got our head. So here we've got deployments, the history of deployments, host names. We can manage here the names of our host names. The troubleshoot tab, we can restart the site, purge the CDN cache, and also preview the application logs live, or generate a link where we can download the logs from the given period of time. The API API credentials are used for deployment. So the API key and API secret, which later be used in order to make deployment, are taken from here. And the app settings, which is basically the end variables, which we need to add for each environment. And how to make deployment. We need to use the deployment API by running the PowerShell. Here are the steps in order to do that. This is the values from the API tab here. The project ID, the client key and client secret are from the API here. The project ID is here. And our target environment, which is in the SaaS CMS, is test 1, test 2, and production. So once we've got all of that information, we need to zip our Next.js application in the following naming pattern, which is the name, head up, the version, and .zip. Here is the example. It's important to follow that pattern because otherwise our deployment will be treated as a regular NuGet package instead of the headless app. And then connect to the Epic Cloud and guess the SaaS URL, upload the deployment package and start the deployment. I will recommend to everyone who start using this Optimizely as a front-end hosting to get through these steps 1 or 2 times and then automate the process because that will allow us to understand more what is done under the hood. I've got here some pipeline here, which is basically the same steps I showed you before. And let's fire this. Here I specify the target environment to test 1. And now we connect to Epic Cloud, create zip package, upload this package, and start the deployment. And yeah, deployment is started to environment test 1. And we can see that deployment is in progress, and it usually takes a few minutes to complete. And yeah, we can deploy our headless application to optimize the DXP. Okay, so let's now.
Simon, before you move on, I do want to mention, so with the hosting, it is in beta. It only supports Next.js at the moment. So other frameworks will be coming in the future. But the good thing is it is pre-configured with a CDN and WAF. So you get all the same features as you would with hosting your normal traditional CMS website in the DXP. You get that all with hosting of the head with Optimizely as well. Just there are some limitations, but hopefully they get ironed out very soon.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. The Next.js, the only supported, at least in the beta phase, framework, headless framework. And now let's sum up all the things we showed you today in a fun way to understand Optimize Wine by using a 3D luxury hotel metaphor. Everything you see here is built by Three.js library package, and all the project was generated using V0. And we can get inside in our hotel and see each components like SSO. But now let's start the guided tour. Oh. So imagine we walk through to a luxury hotel. Everything is personalized just for you, from the check-in desk to room service. This hotel is a metaphor for Optimize One, a platform where everything works together, content, data, testing, AI, and deployment. all focus on giving your users the best experience. We've got our real-time segmentation, which can be metaphor to hotel security team, and just like they watch guests and understands their behavior, optimize this real-time segmentation, watches how users interacts with your sites or hotel. It helps you create live segments so we can show the right content to the right person in real time, almost real time. Web and future experimentation can be the hotel staff and concierge. They notice what you like. Maybe you prefer soft pillows or spicy food, and they adjust things for you. Optimizing experimentation tools works the same way. They let you test different versions of content or features and see which one works best for different groups of users. SaaS CMS take care of displaying the content in the screens in every room, kiosk, in the lobby, and it controls what content show up where and in which language. It helps you manage and deliver personalized content across all channels, not only the website. The SSO is our hotel key, which can open every door. Once check-in, you can go to the gym, spa, and to the hotel room. ODP, it's like in every luxury hotel has a control room where they keep all guest data, preferences, complaints, feedback. ODP is the same. It collects and connects all your customer data and gives you real-time insights. This helps you make smarter decisions based on what users actually do. And our hotel and our commerce, which can be metaphor to restaurant, which can be inside or outside. Don't forget that Optimizely has also commerce capabilities, but like in the demo application, we can create composable commerce and connect to any commerce provider like Commerce Tools, Shopify, or BigCommerce. And lastly, Opal, the AI assistant, which is our big boss at the hotel. Opal is the person who knows everything and can give you smart suggestions how to improve something in the hotel. And at the end, Optimize one is complete solution. The hotel isn't just the room or services. It's a connected and smart experience. And that's what Optimize one is. One platform, everything work together, content, data, testing, commerce, AI, deployment. It helps you build amazing digital experience for your users today and in the future. So let's move to Q&A section and open a floor for any question you might have. Let me open the chat.
Yeah, just to like if anyone has any confusion, I think by composable commerce, Simon means like it's actually configured commerce, right? That's the term we use. And for Connect platform, you say Commerce Connect. Like if anyone is just confused, I just wanna let that know. But yeah, please, if anyone has any question.
I mean, the composable commerce, it's another term not related to Optimizely. And composable commerce, it's the architectural phrase that show that we can combine a lot of different providers like search from Algolia, commerce from Shopify, CMS from Optimizely, and this is all create the composable commerce application.
Yeah, so any other questions for today's talk?
I think Floyd
Sonia.
has a question. Yeah. For blueprints, can we customize translation into blueprints?
So when you save a blueprint, I believe it saves it under the master language. So whatever would be your first language you create that blueprint in, most likely, let's say EN. At the moment, I don't actually know if when you then use that blueprint, if it will make it in multiple languages. That is something that we can try out. Simon, I don't know if you know.
When we save as a blueprint the page, we don't specify the language. It takes the language you created this template. So how to customize translation into blueprints? I think the way to go is to get the blueprint, add your content there, and create that page in different language versions.
Right, Floyd, I hope that answers your question. Yeah. And yes, anyone else? Feel free to drop any question. Simon and Minesh are here for a while.
Not seeing any in the chat.
Yeah, I guess. All right, guys. In that case, I think we should wrap up. So thank you, Minesh and Simon, for that deep dive and demo packed session. Super insightful, and I think one of the most demo heavy sessions we've had so far. But if anyone's coming into Optimizely and wants to know what's it all about, what does the product suite do? I mean, this is classic example. This is a session they can always visit and get updated on. So thank you for this, Minesh and Simon. Really grateful. Everyone, as mentioned, a recording will be sent to your inbox shortly. Before we wrap up, a quick heads up about our next events. We are hosting a commerce-themed happy hour featuring sessions by Laurie McDonald and Cecilia Ramirez. So don't forget to register for that. You can find that in the Academy. We're doing this next Friday. And also for all the UK folks, we have our next dev meetup happening in London on 10th of July, where Minesh will be presenting along with folks like Andrew, Scott, Jacob, etc. So if you're around London in that time, don't forget to register and sign up. But yeah, apart from that, thank you guys. Keep an eye on our upcoming sessions. And yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, take care, guys. Yeah.